Sit back and relax while we give you advice and tips on business matters and matters of the heart for busy executives. And now, Katrina and Edward. Hello, this is Katrina Brittingham, and I am alone. Hopefully, not for the whole show, but I am alone right now. Hopefully, Dr. The Real Deal Love, Edward Johnson, will be joining us. But if he doesn't, the show must go on. Okay. So we are doing the second part of how to um, be successful in a competitive marketplace. Okay. We had 5 steps, and we were on number 3 when we ended last week. So, number 3 is to set competitive prices. One of the easiest ways to be competitive in a busy marketplace is to offer affordable pricing to your audience. Okay. So, you have to determine your ideal price point. To do that, you need a clear picture of what your competition's goods and services are priced. Okay, where they're priced. Research which of your competitors offers the best value for the service. You can also be competitive by looking and packaging your items and pricing your stuff at a price and giving your person more value that sets you apart from your competition. Okay? So then you need to determine what you are offering adds more value to the table, and if it should be higher price. So if you package some things together, for example, then you may have a higher price point than your competition, but you're offering more value. You want to make sure that in your marketing materials, you are differentiating what you have and what people will be getting, so they know that they're getting more bang for their buck. So if you want to, beat the competition, if your primary concern is pricing, opt for a competition-based pricing strategy. Using this strategy, you ignore products cost and consumer demand. So you don't necessarily want to take that route, but you can focus on the existing market rate for your products or services. Okay, so you would look and pretty much take the average, because you're going to have some highs, you're going to have some lows when it comes for your products and services. One of the things that will set you apart is also to experience, satisfy customers, um, putting your ratings out there to show that you do outshine the competition when it comes to certain things. Okay, because you'll have someone, for example, when I first came out um, and started my own business, I was doing resume writing. You had people who charged $25 for a resume, and then you had people who charged well over $1,000 for a resume. What set people apart was the perks that they may have packaged with the resume, or certifications, or experience. It ran the gamut. So you will be having some people that are more higher priced than you for the service, but or the product. But what sets you apart? What sets your product apart? How would me getting your product be better than getting the competitions? Okay. So you can survey your competitors' prices and what they have to offer. It may take you a few hours to do that, but it takes you less time than other methods of trying to figure out pricing. It also will save you time as far as trying to uh, adjust your pricing later. And I am sorry, I'm getting a message from Dr. Love. Apologize for that. Okay, so he is on his way. onto the show and everything. So when he comes in, we will have him come on. So the best pricing strategy isn't always about lowering your prices, um, but it's about looking at the segments that we were talking about, the upper, the middle, and the lower tiers in prices and where you fall in for your audience. And we have Dr. Love on. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Was this an ordeal or what?
I had to prepare them. I said he may be popping on.
Yes, yes, yes. My phone fell out the car. I couldn't find it. Somebody put it in my mailbox, but I'm here.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're here and at least you have it. They returned it. Wonderful, wonderful. Because, oh my goodness, if I lose my phone.
Yes.
And I always think about the time, sidebar, I always think about the time because when I was growing up, we didn't have cell phones like that. We had the phone on the wall with the long cord. We were not taking a phone with us. Now I look at years later, a few short years later, that if I leave my phone in the house, I will turn around and drive back to go and get it because my whole life
That's your lifeline. Everything
is
is
in this phone.
everything, you know, what I mean? Right down to
Ooh,
bank accounts, you know what I'm saying? Information, you know? Oh, yeah.
everything is in there. And I mean, and that's when we're talking about pricing strategy. Some phones, I'm holding my little phone up. I don't know if you can see it. Do, 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 do. Okay, there you go. The back of the
Mhm.
phone is showing. Some phones are priced differently. Why? Because of the features that they have in it. So you can get a flip phone and that will cost you less money, and it should because it doesn't have all the stuff in it. And then you might have a smartphone that has a camera or it has three cameras and autofocus and all of this, and you can record movies on some cell phones. That, trust me, those phones are going to cost more. And it's
Mhm.
the same with your product. So we're on option three, and it is actually pricing your product or service competitively. So we went through that. Can you let us know what strategy you had with pricing your services?
Ooh. Well, here's the thing. I basically do research in terms of what is the market currently doing. I look at the low end tier and I look at the high end tier. I look at those who are, you know, doing moderate prices, and then I look at the very best, you know what I'm saying, the top tier who's doing it. And then when it comes down to my price, I like to fall somewhere in the middle, okay, somewhere in the middle, and then build value. Because I can go to the top, but I don't like to start out the top. You know what I'm saying? I like people to experience what I'm doing, the service that I'm giving. And as they experience it and they appreciate it, they begin to see and understand why you charge what you charge. And then they look to pay a greater price for a greater service. But you've got to let them experience the product or the service. And then once they experience, they begin to understand why it's priced at this particular price point. You know what I'm saying? So it's competitive at the start, but then as you begin to deliver the services or the goods, you begin to distance yourself from the pack.
There you go. And so we did talk about that, researching your competitors and setting your price accordingly so you're not outpricing yourself from the market and you're not so low that you cannot sustain business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was letting them know, like when I started out, I was in resume writing, and they had people who charged a little bit and they had people who charged a whole lot. What set people apart was things like continuing education, certifications, experience, their speaking experience, their experience within the industry, even before they became resume writers. So you had people who may have specialized. So if you do a specialized service, your price might be different than someone who does general services.
Mm-hmm.
So say, okay, I would go on a platform if I did a lot of business resumes, um, and I did career transition specifically. Well, I had experience with people, working with people in career transition, and almost 20 years of experience in business. So because I had that specialty, and I priced myself for those people in that profession, number one, and my experience out there. So when I started out, I didn't start out at the bottom tier.
Mm-hmm.
I started out somewhere in the middle. As I got more experience, as you said, I raised my price. Actually, every year I raised my price,
Mm-hmm.
because every year I was getting more education. I was going to continue in education. Um, I had my finger on the pulse of trends because I was a part of associations and speaking to career thought leaders and people who were in the industry that saw things coming in the industry, before it happened in the job market. So with that experience, it sets you apart from someone who is just writing a resume because they thought it was a good thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they may have been good at writing, which is nothing wrong with that. And some people were very successful with that. But I could also tout with my experience that people were getting jobs 3 times faster
Okay.
with my resumes. They would not be able to get interviews for months and months. They would work with me, and within a week to 30 days they were getting interviews,
Mm-hmm.
which lead to jobs. And even people who came back and applied to the same job, and the recruiter was like, oh my goodness, what did you do with this resume,
Mm-hmm.
and everything? This is so much better. We can see where you fit in, and things like that, helping them get through the automatic system,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people would write, and they would not be writing for what is called the ATS system, the automatic tracking system that would just pick different things out of your resume to see if you met the requirements. So these are the different things that you can do to separate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've always been a concierge service, so I'd walk people through the process where you would just have people give you data, and they would write your resume and say, "Okay, here's this." I would also write to the person's language, because the worst thing you can do is sit in front of an employer and there's words on your resume that you don't even know how to speak, or I'm talking in a language that you don't speak, and everything. And a lot of recruiters would say, we don't like resume writers because when we think we're getting this great candidate, which you were getting a great candidate, but the person could not articulate the language that was on the resume.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that is a big thing. I've even had some conversations, sometimes a little heated, with fellow resume writers. It was like, well, why did you write the resume like that? Because this is on the level of the person who was sitting before that person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't write this as someone with 2 master's degrees, and this person graduated just from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Two
Big,
different languages,
big difference. Big difference.
and everything like that. So I was like, I write for the person. So when they're sitting in front of the person, they know what's on their resume and they speak that way.
Mm-hmm. It's a match.
Also,
You got a match.
right. And also took the time to go over the resume. If someone said, what does that word mean? I said, okay, we're taking it off. And we're not talking about technical words, we're talking about regular English language. If you don't know what that word means, okay, we can, there are synonyms. Do you know what this word means? Do you know what that word means?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because this is going to be the words that you're going to be using when you go into the interview.
Mm-hmm.
So that made a big difference. People who also got jobs retained their jobs longer because they might be articulate, they might be able to speak to the resume, but their writing skills and everything are not what people thought they were because someone else was ghostwriting their resume.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all things that make you more marketable, and these are the things that I explain to people when they sat with me. I'm like, this is your document. You need to. I'm not going to be sitting in an interview with you, so please let me know.
Mm-hmm.
I also did not work with people that I knew because of my years of interviewing people that I knew did not know what they were, did
Okay.
not have experience in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, in that I incorporated an interview package. Let's go through this resume and sit with me and let me sit down with you to see. if you actually have the skills that are on this resume.
Okay.
Um, so that's what sets you out, the more personal service. I know it seemed like we went on a tangent, but that tangent was needed to give the example of what sets you apart. Like if you're doing things like that, it's like if you have a power drill, there are many power drills on the market. Many, many. Some do more. Some have a light on them. Some of them don't. Some of them have a magnetic tip so you don't lose your drill bit. Some of them don't. And depending on what features are in there will determine the price.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some things also that you would look at. Um, for example, my co-host does love counseling, but he does specifically for busy female executives. Okay, so that would set him apart. That's a niche that will set him apart, and it's a different price range for that.
Mm-hmm.
He has certain systems in place, certain ways that he delivers the service. Well, I can't even speak to if you have a hands-on approach, but you can speak to that. But there are certain things that will distinguish him from another love counselor
Mm-hmm.
or a
Definitely,
relationship
definitely
counselor.
hands on. Definitely, I'm definitely a hands on guy.
Hmm. Also,
Absolutely.
something that sets him apart, you have some relationship counselors who are not married. He's been married for 40 years, happily.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a difference. That makes a difference. I'm gonna be real. Personally, if I'm gonna go to somebody with relationship counseling, I'd rather go with someone who has a healthy relationship
Yes,
and has been having a healthy relationship for a while, because I know what you're telling me is something that actually works,
it works.
instead of sitting with someone who is a bachelor that had 10 relationships and none of them worked out right, but now you want to tell me how to run my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're in a relationship and you can tell when you meet their spouse that their spouse is so miserable, and I'm like, wait a minute, you trying to tell me how to have a happy relationship?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Here we go again. Is there a match here?
and I'm not talking about, oh, the person had a bad day. You can tell when someone is just worn out
Mm-hmm.
from a relationship. Like you can tell how people interact with them. These are the things that make a difference. At least these are some things that, number one, I look for. I'm sorry, I'm a detail oriented person. I pick up on things that people don't think that I pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of consumers are the same type of people. They pick up on things that you don't think that they will pick up on. So it goes to also, when you're pricing your service, make sure it's something that you can deliver on. Make sure your promises are something that you can deliver on. All right. So number four, number three was long, just like the rest
Mm-hmm.
of them. Change your business to stay ahead in a competitive market. So you can make some changes to your business to stay ahead. You've heard me talk before about rebranding my business. So how I ended up doing that is, oh, so we have Jalen here saying, giving you a shout out, Dr. Love.
All right.
Hi, Jaden. Jalen. I'm sorry. Let
Jalen,
me say that.
Jalen
Let me
Johnson.
say that right. All right. So, when it comes to, I just lost my train of thought. So let's go on to number four. So, rebranding my business.
Mm-hmm.
So when I rebranded my business, it became from me listening to what my customers' needs were. So when you're talking about pricing, people are going to buy what their need is. And it's going up to number one, where it said to find your pain point. Okay. So my customers would let me know a pain point. A lot of them who were transitioning, because I was doing transition coaching for people who were transitioning to retirement, transitioning to a new career, transitioning to starting a business. Well, the bulk of the people that I was working with pre-COVID and post-COVID were deciding, look, I just want to liberate myself from working for somebody else, and I want to start my own business. This is my dream. This is my passion. How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
When I started getting more and more people coming to me because of that, um, and they respected the fact that I had been in business for a long time, and I had the years of business experience, and that's why they were coming to me. I was like, okay, so this my niche automatically changed because that's who was coming to me. So now I had to restructure my business and rebrand my business to meet the need
Mm-hmm.
of the clientele. And if I'm doing this exclusively because that's who's coming to me, then I have to speak to that audience. And so you can do that. We talked about not being afraid to pivot and to shift in your business, because if I did not, I would have been stuck, in the old and not moving to where the need was and where
Mm-hmm.
people were actually crying out for me to be. And I had that skill set, and I was doing that skill set along with others. So I just started to specialize a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then that changed and evolved into the conference that we have every year, because we had some, a whole lot of people speaking about that, and helping them to actually build their business. So listening to your clients is a big thing, even before you start talking about pricing your business in a competitive market. So in a competitive market, if you have 90% of your people saying they need this service and you don't provide it, and you see that there's a hole in the industry for it, then provide it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth the money, it's worth the time, it's worth the effort. Even this show here was created because of the change, in the marketplace and what people were asking, and trying to get answers to people, true answers, because there is a lot of noise out there. There are a lot of good advice, and sometimes it's a lot of bad advice.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a lot of outdated advice sometimes. So, um, changing your business to stay competitive in this market is, first and foremost, the only thing constant is change. Everything's changing, things changing every day.
That's right.
We went to sleep one day and woke up to a pandemic. So the only thing constant is change. So one of the examples that I have is for, um, a retail establishment that actually I haven't even seen in a while, um, and everything. And it was a big thing when I was a little bit younger. Is Urban Outfitters. Okay, so what made them set set apart from everyone else is that they hired artists instead of actual business people and retailers to run their store. What they got from this is that their employees had the freedom in shaping how their stores looked. So when you go into an Urban Outfitters store in one place and you go somewhere else, it's not set up the same. If you go to somewhere like Walmart or, you know, Costco, wherever you go, pretty much, even if it's smaller or it's bigger, it's pretty much set up the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when you go in, you have a unique experience in every Urban Outfitters store. That's what made them set apart. You would have a unique shopping experience. Okay. So they were able to raise their revenue just by doing this by a whopping 500%.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge. Okay. And they made around $3 billion in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Do they sell? They sell clothes. Okay. So they sell clothes. They were able to set themselves apart in the marketplace just by allowing people to be artistic in the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I can go to one and have a whole different experience, a positive experience, apparently, but
Mm-hmm.
a whole different experience. So it worked on people's senses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they beat their competition by changing the traditional retail model. And I worked in retail. when I was in high school and college. And that is true. Every store, when they have a sale, they have the same signs. The store is set up pretty much the same. You might have more of something than the other because of the size of the store, or less if the store was smaller. But it was pretty much the same makeup. The same signs was in the front of the store. The same signs was in the middle of the store. It was the same experience. So this gave customers a fresh look at what retail was and that shopping experience. Okay, so looking at this store as an inspiration, consider ways to make yourself stand out from your competition. You can sell the same services, but what is it that is eye catching to them? What is it that speaks to them? What are you providing as far as experience that's different than them going to someone else,
Mhm.
them going to somebody else's website, going into someone else's retail establishment, going into somebody's office.
Mhm. That was such that's such a good point because, you know, in business, in retail, McDonald's, like you said, Walmart, the model is your the customer's experience should be the same experience that they expect from you is the same experience that you deliver over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's the customers should, when you go to McDonald's, you should never guess what you're going to get. You should know what you're going to get. And McDonald's said, we want to deliver that experience. And like you said, every McDonald's, it's the same experience, the same look. So in business, like you said, Urban Outfitters, which, it's interesting because I always loved Urban Outfitters. They, not only did they sell clothes, they sell other little trinkets and, home goods. It was just a great store. And like you said, I don't see it in the area that I used to visit and frequent. It was it was a college. It was around this college area, University of Penn. They had one there. But, thinking out of the box, they said, well, we don't want to have all our stores look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We want to create an experience, but it doesn't always have to look the same or unravel the same way. We can create a wonderful experience in a different way. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what a creative person is doing. That's what you're encouraging now. Is if you think out of the box, you say, uh, do all my like you said, they hired all artists. At my
Mm-hmm.
salon, I went the traditional way. Let's all wear white tops and black bottoms, uniform. Okay, that was my concept, my ideal. Well, that doesn't have to work for everyone. Like you said, if you hire artists, somebody says, I want to wear a green top, a blue top, I want red hair, I want white bottoms. You know what I'm saying? But it's not so much the look, it's the experience. Are
Mm-hmm.
they pleased with the experience? The look is important. It doesn't always have to match, but the experience. Are you able to deliver the experience? So that's a great point, Miss Katrina, to make sure we understand. You don't always have to have a cookie cutter program and system in place. You can be creative, but you can deliver a systematic experience that people will love to come back and experience over and over again. So that's just a
Exactly.
good point.
Exactly. And so going back to it, that's where you have to really be careful and you have to really think it through. You have to really have a strategy and to be able to explain to people what your system is,
Mhm.
what your strategy is. Um, I would tell people, yeah, I do have box products and I can provide that to you if you want. And that has a set price. But if you want the cashier service where you're getting something uniquely tailored to you,
Mhm.
that is going to be a different price.
Mhm.
Okay? Because the experience is different. Think about it. You pay more for a first class flight because the experience, I can attest,
Mhm.
First class has spoiled me and ruined me from every other class
It's a difference.
because
That
the experience is so much different. I
same
mean,
plane. It's the same
it,
plane,
it's the same
same
plane.
same airplane, but it's a different experience.
You would think you was on a different plane.
Different plane. You
That's
see what I'm saying?
that's how different the experience is.
Yes,
And
indeed.
so, you can even, model it first class service. This service, this is the first class, or this the elite, like they say, elite VIP. There are different ways that you can um, tailor your product or service. What comes with it, what perks comes with it.
Hmm.
So in identifying a model that you can change, you want to make sure that when you do this model, you can change it, because you don't want to be stuck, that if the market changes, or if your clients desire something else, or the needs of your clients change, or your customers change, that you cannot change.
Hmm.
um and so you need to be able to execute these changes as quickly as possible, sometimes in days, sometimes in weeks, sometimes in months. When COVID came, people had to change overnight how they did business, how they even thought about business. Business is not even the same now after things have opened up, since COVID has hit us. And so you need to be able to have some flexibility, so if something happens beyond your control, that you can get up and be flexible, okay, and be able to maneuver well. A lot of companies actually went out of business because they were not as pliable. And I'm going to say this, and we're going to go to break because we are over the half hour mark.
Hmm.
But a lot of companies went out of business even during COVID because they got hit with something that, yeah, they didn't expect, but they weren't able to bounce back as fast. So there are companies that probably could have survived COVID, but they were not in the place to change as quickly. You cannot take years to change. Sometimes you can, in this economy, you can't even take months. You have to be able to move, and you have to be able to be nimble, and you have to be able to make some changes on the fly, and quickly. With that being said, we are going to go to a 30-minute break, and we will be back.
From one-on-one executive coaching to our business building concierge service, Venture Ready helps entrepreneurs, startup executives, and business owners build, scale, and run their businesses using techniques that support stability and long-term growth. Through the Career GPS radio show and High Tea with Me TV program, we promote smart business strategies for the real world. Then, in our one-on-one coaching programs, we help entrepreneurs go beyond the vision board to realize their big vision into a tangible business with a promising future. If you're waiting to feel legit, here's the thing: you have to legitimize yourself. It's time to stop treating your business like a hobby. Get real, it's your career. So let me ask you, are you venture ready?
All right. So, are you ready to take your business from being a hobby to a career? Are you venture ready? Maybe your business is your business and it is your career. Maybe you have a new venture coming up, or something else that you want to do. Are you ready for that change?
Hmm.
If you are not ready for that change, or you need help getting to that change, we are here to help you. Okay. All right. So, getting back to it, we are still on number 4, which was how to change your business to stay ahead in a busy marketplace and to be competitive. Okay, so once you have found out um, how to change your business, or what you can do, you can implement tools like video. You can do, right now, YouTube is doing shorts. And yes, I'm in it, I'm all up in it. Doing
Really?
60
Right.
seconds videos, doing 60-second teasers of videos that you may be producing. and I'm all up in it. Um, I really am. I went into that so fast. They sent me a message about it, and that day I was making a short. I
Dang, that's good.
was like, let's see what happens with this. Oh,
And the
okay.
short and the shorts on YouTube is like the reels on Facebook.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Pretty
Good
much,
job.
yes.
Good job. Good job.
Um, and sort of like a TikTok. Like a TikTok is like a very very short video,
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that. But I got all up in that business, and everything. And so I have some on one of my business platforms, and I just could not believe it. After a while, I'm like, wait a minute, I have a lot of videos on here, and everything, and it was met with some immediate positive things. You have people who just want 60 seconds or something,
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and it's a teaser, and people come back to see the main event. Okay, so it's brought more, um, viewers to the main videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, more attention. You can implement virtual reality into it, where people are in your commercial moving around touching stuff, or people are in the business or getting the experience of what they could have, right in 5D. Okay, now I say 5D because it's all around you. To me, that's bigger than 3D. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're in something, um and is it you feel like that you're in there and you have that experience, so you can do that. And a lot of people are into the virtual reality. I know somebody personally that will always be talking about virtual reality and just reaching out, and it's like, oh, you can reach out and touch it and everything like that. So that could be something that really drives your business, something that's inexpensive, um, something that you can move to a little more fluidly, a little more quickly. So depending on what your service is, what your capacity is, what your know-how is, in IT, or your IT people's capacity, you can do that. Okay. Now, we talked about the companies that did well with presenting an experience and
Mm-hmm.
moving with the times. We have some companies who did not do that. Okay. Two of them, we talked about phones. One was Nokia and one was BlackBerry. And I can personally attest to BlackBerry. Nokia, when they were out, I loved them,
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that. And when they went away, I was sad. They were the big ones that was on the flip phone and the little walkie
Yeah,
talkies
they
that you
were
could.
among the first.
Yeah. But apparently, they were not too flexible when it came to technology.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was BlackBerry. I never really preferred BlackBerry
Mm-hmm.
when they came out. I just didn't like the way the phone looked. To me, it was a little harder to use, even though people had it and they swore by it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were wiped out of the smartphone market. Like BlackBerry, I think they just stopped Blackberries maybe like a year or two ago, because they were not innovative enough.
Mm-hmm.
Their phones, like really do think that Nokia kept the same type of phone until they left. I don't think I've ever seen a new BlackBerry, at least the style of it. Um,
Yeah.
and as people were going to touch screens, people didn't necessarily want a keyboard, okay, on their phone, like a physical keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, remember that when you're out in the market, you're not the only one out there. Your competition is innovating every single day. They have
Mm-hmm.
people who are just there just to come up with new ideas. And so if you are not coming up with fresh ideas, if you're not being innovative, if you're not thinking of a new way or a fresh way to deliver your product or service, you are going to be left in the dust because your competition is thinking about it
Mm-hmm.
and working on it. So you might be thinking about it, but if you're not moving and taking action, then you will be left in the dust. Okay. So you also will have new people coming into your market. There are new people coming into the the career coaching space, the business coaching space, the relationship counseling space. And guess what? They're coming with some fresh ideas.
Mm-hmm.
you have to be prepared for that. Okay, you have to be able to still differentiate yourself. We talked about McDonald's. There, how many other burger places has popped up since McDonald's came out? If they were not willing to, because they have innovated, they have changed some sandwiches, they have
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
changed their look. Many a times they have catered to the needs. They have
Mm-hmm.
been researching to see where things were going, and they have still been here. McDonald's was here before I was born, and they still here now. I can't. There are
Still
many
standing.
that were not here before, that were here before I was born and not here now. We talked about John Wanamaker and things like that. You know,
Strawberries and clothier.
Woolworths. You know, your Strawbridge and Clothier, yes, um, and everything like that. They have not lasted. They're not here anymore. Okay, some retailers went to the online platform, and some people just they did not go online like that. And they were kind of left in the dust with the people like me who like to shop from the privacy of our own home instead of fighting people off for the blouse that I want. Um,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And a perfect example of that is, you know, we're talking about uh, being innovative, but then we're talking about a cycle as well. So, what has been done in the past that you can do a better job of it in the future? Perfect
mhm,
example is Fingerhut. Fingerhut has always been an online, they they always had a catalog. It was always mail order. It wasn't exactly like Amazon, but Amazon took their model, added some bells and some whistles, and reinvented their model. Fingerhut is still around. They're not going nowhere, but they're not doing what Amazon is doing. So you want to look around at what's really happening in your market and reinvent some things that are already reinvented. Okay. They did that with Lyft. Okay. You got Colonics and the other guy. They came together. They said, we're going to reinvent taxi cabs. Taxi cabs have already been here. Okay, we're already riding in cabs, but they said we're going to create a cab company that we're not going to own any of the cars. We're going to use their cars. We're not going to pay any insurance policies. We're going to use their insurance policies. Okay, we're going to put systems in place where we track the money, we collect the money, we order the rides, we handle all the GPS, we handle all the locations, but everything else, the car, the insurance, the gas, they handle it. We handle the technology part of it. And that's
mhm,
what makes Lyft, Uber, and all those guys work because they added technology, they added new technology to the cab business.
mhm. And
Okay,
you have regular workers because in the cab industry you had to be licensed.
that's right.
And that's not the driver's license. Just please have your driver's license if you work for Uber. But we're talking about a specific cab license. And you had to pay a fee for that. Um, I'm not sure if it was every month or every year or whatever, but you had to have a specific cab license to um, work with the cab company and everything like that. And so it opened it up to, hey, grandmom, you need some extra cash? Drive for us, deliver some groceries, pick up some people. And it was when it first came out, people were saying, oh, that'll never work. I can tell you, I don't know if I've seen a cab on the road here lately,
Mm-hmm.
at least where I'm at. And everybody either drives or they have a Lyft or an Uber. I don't think I've seen a taxi cab here. Don't say that Trina says there's no cab drivers because there may be some cab drivers.
There's some left. You just
Katrina just has not seen them.
Mhm.
Okay, so whereas when you went to certain places, all you saw was cabs.
That was all it was.
Okay, and I've taken Uber. Well, I love Lyft, and I'm not going to go into why I love Lyft, but I have taken them to the airport. One of the main places you will see taxi cabs is at the airport.
Hmm.
The last time I went, I don't think I saw a single cab sitting out there.
Hmm.
Okay, so these people had their eye on the market. The cab industry thought they were safe. Okay. And they were not. So you see them barely in the market, if you see them at all. And in the next, 5 to 10 years, you might not see a cab.
Hmm.
That's where we are. Unless they start innovating.
Innovative and reinvent themselves. That's right. That's right. You
And
know
it's
what they
easy.
say? They say the dinosaurs are not here because they could not adapt.
They could not adapt. Or and also sometimes that lack of adaptability comes from overconfidence. They did not think that there was going to be anyone who came to take their place.
Hmm.
So also too, Lyft and Uber are good with customer service for the most part.
Hmm.
And they were heads down better than the service you were getting from cabs. They really were. I've been in a cab before. So that, let's not just say I've driven cabs, and my experience with dealing with a Uber or Lyft driver was hands down better. So when I started using that, because it so happened that I had to get a Uber or Lyft, my service was a whole lot better. They let you know when the driver was coming. You knew what the driver looked like because they had a picture. This is what this person looked like. So somebody came and said they was a Lyft driver and you ain't look like this picture, I ain't getting in your car.
And you know the car that they're sending.
Exactly. You did not necessarily know that with a cab and who your driver was, and he'll be here. If they running late, they let you know they running late. If the person running too late because it's traffic, they'll send another car
That's right.
that's closer. These are the things that are driven, and I'm saying this because number 5 is provide great customer service.
Hmm.
What is going to make or break your company is the customer service that you provide. The service that when you're providing a service, when people are inquiring about your service, when people have a problem with your service, how are you handling those situations?
Hmm.
So providing great customer service and memorable customer service is a great way to build loyalty. Because again, I mentioned Lyft. I'm a loyal Lyft customer. Lyft, y'all better keep doing me right because and I'm giving y'all a shout out here.
That's right. That's
Um,
right.
um, is a great way to build loyalty. It's a great way to get what they call evangelists of your service. What's an
Yeah.
evangelist of your service? What I just said. Oh, I only drive Lyft. I mean, I only go with Lyft. They provide me with great service. I can give you many, many reasons why I use Lyft as opposed to any other company.
Oh, and they're not even paying you for that.
They are not. So that's
And
why I
that's
have to stop talking about them. Um,
that's an evangelist. That's an evangelist.
Yes. And someone who will talk about your service, they're so happy about your service that they will promote your service or your product without you being there, without you having to pay them. They don't even know they're marketing you. They're just was like their experience was just so awesome. They just had to tell somebody or 10 people or a
Tell
hundred
tell
thousand people.
somebody.
They just had to tell it.
Hmm.
And what does that do? That brings more people into your business.
Hmm.
Because my auntie Pat told me, my uncle Georgie told me that this was an awesome service.
Hmm.
All right. Um, so you also with customer service put a priority if you hire people, you contract people to have a full understanding of not just your products or services, but your brand as a whole and stress customer service.
Customer service.
Okay. Because even if you did not provide the service, even if you were not rude, they're going to say, Venture Ready was mean to me.
Hmm.
They're not going to say Johnny. They're going to say Venture Ready did it.
Yeah, they're not gonna say Johnny of Venture Ready. They're gonna say Venture Ready.
Mm-hmm. They're
Was
not going to say Susie did it. They're going to say Dr. Love Corporation did it. You know,
yeah.
so make sure that you Don't rush your hiring process, that you vet your service team members, and not just your service team members, your management and everything. Because how many times have you gone in and you had to escalate something to management, not necessarily even because you had bad customer service, but because the level of service or the decision that you needed to be made had to be done on a manager level, and you got a mean and nasty manager.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can give some testimony on that. But um
Let me ask you a question, around customer service, because I heard someone mention this the other day. And I mean, I've been in business and around business all my life, and the statement in business is the customer is always right. So, Miss Katrina, tell me, has that changed? What are your thoughts? Give me that.
here's the thing. Excuse me. The customer is not always right, but you can tactfully assist the customer who's not right
Mm-hmm.
and turn it around where even if the customer wasn't right, they have a fantabulous customer service experience.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I never liked that. Maybe because I came up in retail and we had some customers who straight up was not right. Um, like I said, I worked in retail. My first job actually that was in retail was in McDonald's, and we had customers who were downright rude. That one customer who actually physically assaulted one of the managers who was providing good service. No, they are not always right, but it's how you handle that. A lot of times when a customer is coming, they're irate, they're upset about something. So the main thing that you want to do, and I'm going into customer service stuff, because we're talking about customer service, is number one, taking the time to understand where this person is coming from, where this customer is coming from. We've all had a bad experience. Okay. We've all had something that came to our house that wasn't the way we thought it was going to be, maybe because we didn't read the description, or maybe because there was a defect, or maybe because it did come broken. But it's how you deal with that customer. Number one, first and foremost, is understanding. Because even though we are business owners, even though we are employees, we have all been on that other side of the customer service spectrum. And it's putting yourself in a place of how how would I feel, having that empathy? How would I feel if this was me? How would I feel if this was my grandmother? Sometimes people come and they just don't understand what they got, or how to use it, or how to program that smartphone or that universal remote. Sometimes they don't know how to use the product that they provided for you. Sometimes they don't know how to read the technical spec manual that came with it. Sometimes they just want somebody to walk them through the process of doing it. They don't want to read your crappy book, instruction manual. They want somebody to help them.
I don't have time to read it.
Some people have the time, and some people just don't want to do it.
Mm.
I've been there. Like I don't want to read all of this. Look, explain this to me like I'm in the third grade. Like seriously, I don't want to go through and try to figure out what this means and everything like that. Because even with an instruction manual, there's always a scaled down version that you can go through and just be like, okay, you just simply have to do this and this. I mean, an instruction manual is made to be detailed because it's an instruction manual. It instructs you on how to do it. Okay. So some people just don't want to go through all of that. And everything like that. Sometimes people are looking and seeing a charge on their bill that they don't understand, and they're gonna call, you overcharged me. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's see. I understand you're frustrated. Let's go through, and I'll take the time to go through the bill so we can see what's going on. If there's something wrong, we can work on getting that rectified for you. Not no, that's what's on your bill. It's on your bill. That's what that is. It's a whole different way of how you deal with people. And you'll have somebody who may have been irate I worked on a customer service line too. I was getting cussed out a million times a day. I would have somebody who people would send me irate people because I could turn that call around. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't, even if sometimes, even if the person doesn't get what they wanted or what they expected, they will still leave that call satisfied because you heard them, you respected them.
Mm-hmm.
I would have people call into the line to my management, and the manager was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what you did." But even if they did not get what they wanted, they was like, "But she was awesome. She listened to me. She did this." I had a customer one time. They warned us about her in training. This is how this customer was. And so when I got this person, I was like, my God, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my job. Like this woman was getting people fired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it was very, very, very hard to deal with, according to people. I got her, I was like, oh my goodness, had to call, answer her question, everything like that. Got a call. My supervisor was like, come into my office. I was like, oh God, here it comes. I'm about to lose my job. And she was like, I don't know what you did. And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. She said, but this person, it always end up in the supervisor call. So she said, when I got this call, I wasn't surprised and everything like that. She said, but I did not get any negative feedback. She actually was like, you need to give that girl a raise. I don't know what you did. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I just listened to her. I respected her. I showed her what was going on. And everything like that. And in the situation, it was a situation where the customer wasn't right about something, but I was able to explain it to her, let her know what was going on, what she could do in the future to avoid something like this happening. That's all I did. I just understood. I listened to her. Even though she called in irate, I didn't get irate back.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and I was that call started out crazy because I was like, how can I help you? You're not gonna be able to help me. Those were her exact words. I said, okay, well, let's see if I can. If
Mm-hmm.
I can't, then we'll
Yeah.
move this on. But
You might be right, but let's
exactly,
go into it. You might be right, but let's see.
exactly. And then that's what I was saying. I said that might be the case, but let's just go through some things and see what I can do. And I handled that call. She didn't call 5 and 10 and 15 times to get her answer. She got her answer, and she was good. And what she said is, I always complain about when I get poor service. So I wanted to tell you when I got excellent service.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is what people will do. If you give bad service, they will tell people. First off, if you give bad service, they'll tell twice as many people as they do if you give good service.
Absolutely.
But if you give good service, people will be able to tell you that you had good service. So that is what you want to do. And I actually took that mentality. That I think that's one of the reasons why I am a stickler for customer service. Is
Mm-hmm.
because I worked on those phone lines. I understood everybody had different situations. Everybody had different understandings. And sometimes it's just the tone of how you speak to someone. Even if they come in angry. And
Yeah.
that's and they might you might not deserve because I will hear people, I don't deserve to be talked to like that. You might not,
You don't exactly.
but I could be having a bad day too. Okay, but you getting paid to deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're having a bad day,
Yes.
and I worked in a sensitive area of industry that had to do with people's health.
Mm-hmm.
So people are automatically having a bad day when they call you.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I happened to be on customer service. I didn't even come out for that. I just ended up being there. But I was like working on those phone lines, doing customer service gave me a better appreciation of how to handle service and how to handle people. Now, I'm not perfect. I might have my off day. So please don't call me cussing me out. Okay?
Well, I was thinking, I wrote this the other day. When you have somebody that you're dealing with and they're angry or they're disappointed about a service, you know, I was saying to myself, you're angry about this service or about this happen, but all of that anger is not about just this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This anger is mixed with some other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So when
Mm-hmm.
you go into solving the problem, which I love diffusing problems. I love solving situations, you know what I'm saying? So when you go into it, you got to understand all of that is not this here. This just happens to be a point in which I can express all of the other things that are really bothering me. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you want to understand when you're dealing with customers, what you're dealing with is that anger is not always just about that particular product or that particular service, or they didn't get what they wanted. There's some other things behind the scenes that you're not privy to. So you come at it with just not just blindsided. There's more anger here than this has. But your skill set, and see, that's the other thing. Have you developed a skill set to be able to deal with people that are going to be a little irate, a little uncouth, and they try to get you off your center? But as long as you stay on point and you stay on center, like you said, Ms. Katrina, you can't help me, and you may be right. You know what I'm saying? That's what they teach us in sales. They say agree with your adversary immediately,
Mm-hmm.
even though you have to change it. They say, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't, but let's talk anyway. You know what I'm saying? Agree
Mm-hmm.
with them, diffuse it, and then re-enter. Okay, so that was just such a great point.
And we're at the top of the hour already, but I just want to just sum up the customer service piece, and then also being competitive. One of the biggest things of being competitive in the market, aside from your price and everything else, the biggest thing, and I said it last week before we even got to that, is customer service. And you need to develop the skill of being emotionally intelligent.
Hmm.
And emotional intelligence is not just being able to pick up on someone's emotions, but how to handle
Hmm.
that, how to adjust your language to that. One of the big things in that, when it comes to dealing with people, is number one, listening. When someone calls into the line, how can I help you? What's your need? If they're calling about a problem, okay, can you explain your issue to me? Listen to them without interrupting.
Ooh.
And it's funny because that used to be the thing, but here lately I have been having customer service, having a call for myself, and I'll say two words and someone is talking. Oh man, can I complete my thought? You don't have the solution because you haven't heard what my problem is. And I will have people get upset because they can't talk and they have to listen to me to tell them what is actually going on. That I would say two sentences. Oh, well, you have to go to wait. How do you know you're switching me to the right department? Or, oh, I have this. No. And sometimes I will listen. I'm like, that's not what I'm calling for. That's not my solution. That's not going to help me. Can I finish what I was going to say? Like, so listening to them. How can you understand what their frustration is, what their need is, if you're not actually listening
Hmm.
and letting them speak and tell you what their issue is? And I say that because, again, sometimes even as business owners, you know what this person needs to be sold, or so you think.
Hmm.
Let them tell you what their need is. Even if they don't say it in your technical jargon, you should be able to decipher what they're saying and put it in your technical jargon so you can provide a solution.
Hmm.
But the first thing you do is you're asking them, how can I help you? People say that all the time and don't let people tell them how they can help them. How can I help you? Let them say their piece. Let them finish. You'll know because it'll be silence on the line. And they say, okay, I understand. Or I can definitely assist you with that. Here is A, B, C, and D.
Mm-hmm.
Once you let them know what those offers are and what you have to offer, listen to them for their response. Because sometimes people are so busy trying to sell the highest item on the menu that they're not really listening to what the people need
Mm-hmm.
and truly need. And number one was actually finding the person's pain point. So all of this boils down to listen to your customer. Even if you have a set package or if you have a set thing, listen to what your person's needs are when they answer the call, when they call you. All right. So that is the show. Because I know I'm getting a wrap up from my engineer,
Mm-hmm.
because we are over the time. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining us for this episode of High Tea with Me. Next week we will have our love topic with our incomparable Dr. The Real Deal Love. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of High Tea with Me. To be a sponsor or a guest, contact us at info@ventureready.net. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.